We're doing truth voices like thunder. Total grab the Hilltappers, sound like no other. In the underground, we're fighting the fights, pouring our passion into this light. Challenging the north, we break all the rules. Raise up your glass, let's shatter their fools. Rocking the vibe with an angry refrain. Time to reclaim what's ours, let's make it plain. So let's rock it out, don't hold it back. Raise your voices.
Hey, when you guys started Hilltappers, did the social media start at the same time? Like when you guys started drinking craft beer, or
I don't remember.
were they kind of two separate things?
You know, it wasn't, I don't know what it was, you know, because we weren't like, we're going to be the Hilltappers and we just started, you know, taking it on. But I had some pictures of us and not long after we went on our first couple adventures, I made a logo of the two of us, you know, and this thing, and it had the Hilltappers, and which I pulled up the name. I was like, you like this name? He's like, oh yeah, awesome. So, you know, so I made this logo of us. I'm looking at the magnet of it on the fridge right now. And the logo was like, all of a sudden it was like, yeah, we're the Hilltappers. You know, we're going to go hit breweries, and, you know, we're going to be we're not going to try to be a thing, but we're a thing, just us. But then I was just like, you know what? It doesn't cost anything to open a second Instagram account, you know? So I made a Hilltappers, so I didn't have to post all of our stuff on my personal account, and that way we kind of, share it. So I just made a Hilltappers Instagram account, which is the way to go, because that's where, pretty much all the real brewery people are, I found out. So,
Yes.
and what I didn't know,
We found you.
yeah, it's what I didn't know was the community
Totally.
I instantly kind of got us into by starting that account. So it wasn't something that we sought to do. We were just looking for a place to kind of put some of our pictures of the breweries we went to, and we ended up, being part of this larger thing, and it's been great.
Yeah,
We
same
wouldn't
for us.
let you do that.
Well, exactly, and the same thing, and other people you've met and we've met. We thought our thing was, let's go to breweries and we'll create a website and we'll just put some stuff on our website, and didn't realize what this social media thing was, because I didn't even have a social media account before we started this. I was like, I'm not doing it.
I know, jeez.
Yeah. Not doing it, and now it's like it's a way of life if you're doing this this beer thing that we do.
Yeah, you guys, you and Pedalbound and Brew Dude, and I love every post. This is just
Yeah, and I love that everybody's got a different thing. Like people are like, some people post what they're drinking at home right now, and and take a picture and do the whole thing, and that's cool. We don't do a lot of that. We do some of that, but ours are more the adventure part. When you tie in the podcast too. Some ours more when we visit somewhere, but when we can do anything we want. That's kind of our angle for it, and which is kind of a lot what you guys do too, right? You kind of document the adventures.
Right, exactly. We like to, first thing I got to get, let's get a picture outside, the two of us with a sign, and then you get a picture of the bar, and then you get a picture of your flight, and then, you'll get in there and, talk about what your favorites were. You tag them. And that's probably how you guys found us, was probably when we started tagging Cincinnati breweries, because you follow them.
Yeah.
And that's probably how you found us on social media.
And what happens is, and for a lot of them, it's you start seeing the same people when we first got it, the same faces start showing up, or the same accounts start showing up. Okay, well, they might be somebody. Let's hit like their stuff, and then, and it's nothing to get it like a DM from someone and be like, hey, like you guys, what do you recommend there, or what, if we're going somewhere. So it's just it's a cool community.
It is.
Beerstagram.
And what happens is when you start, you or any of the other people start liking our stuff, that opens it up to another audience that, they see you liked it and they see it. And all of a sudden, so we get all these, we'll get new followers, from just, doing things with other people and tagging them in it. All of a sudden we get new followers going there, which I don't keep track. I have no idea how many followers.
That's a great thing, because we all just want to have a good experience and find a new beer and a new place and a new location. But I still want to have pictures as good as Armando's, because
Man. Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, he's a pro, and I'm trying.
Hey, Armando, thank you for the beers.
Yeah.
Gosh,
By the way,
right.
Absolutely love his work, man. It's like,
It's gonna get. He just bought himself a nice, like a camera. Like everything he's done before is on his phone.
That thing looked great.
His phone.
His phone. Everything was his phone. Yeah, he's got him a nice. I saw him at Marble Fox today. He's got him like a really nice camera. So I think his stuff will be even better now.
Okay.
And it's,
To be fair,
really cool.
the 28 years later, that new movie, they shot that entire thing on iPhones, on iPhone
Really?
15s.
Didn't even know that.
Yeah. So, you know,
Well, it's
so
funny.
I don't know if he needed that camera.
No, he was really good with the pictures, and with like editing and filtering and doing stuff. Man, he's really
Yeah.
good. But now I think he's taking it to another level now with this new
Yeah,
camera.
he's got a great eye. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Scott and I laugh sometimes because we'll be out taking pictures and then we realize we haven't taken pictures together. Like we'll be like, oh, shit, we haven't taken a picture of like us in front of like the logo of the brewery. We're going in and we're taking all these pictures and then wait a minute, we don't have pictures of ourselves.
Neither one of us. We're not in any of the damn pictures.
Hey, look, nobody wants to see y'all. They want to see the beers in the place. Okay,
That's true.
That's it. That's it.
They want to see
Well,
beer.
Yo,
Well, early on when we did it, nobody knew the difference between Steve and I because they're like, neither one of you guys are on the pictures, but we don't know who the hell either one of you are.
Which one is which?
Scott, Steve, you know, Ski.
Yeah. have you guys ever been mixed up or just got the names
Well,
wrong
no,
just for
I
that
mean, you know,
same reason?
Elizabeth, the pedal bound, when we
Yeah.
were hanging out, she got our names wrong. Tailspin.
The whole time.
What
whole
were we,
weekend.
like Tim and Brian?
yeah,
or-
it wasn't even.
Yeah.
Like, it was whatever.
You guys were a different name every time she called you by a name.
That's right. But it was freezing outside, so
It
who
was.
remembers?
Listen,
Names.
Tailspin. Anybody listening? Tailspin Ale, Beer Fest is, and you guys have been to more than we have. But I think Scott, he was saying it was huge and amazing, even though it was frigid cold because they do it in
It was.
March.
March 1st.
And usually it works out. It's like this is about the prettiest day you're going to get in March. This year it was not. It was the frozen tundra of beer. And they had
It was so
wrestling ring
cold.
set up in the middle of the place,
Yeah.
outdoor and an airfield. And they had a wrestling ring. These people out there in like wrestling, like tights, just wrestling. I'm like, you crazy.
Yeah. They were right out there in it, man. Oh, it was so cold that I couldn't think about anything else. Like there was nowhere to get warm.
I never thought we'd leave a huge beer festival and go to 3 breweries. But
Yes.
we hit that limit and we were still sober enough. We all piled into a Uber more than we apparently had held. And he's like, I don't know if he knew. We're like, you can do it.
Just
And we were
get
just
in.
like piled in there. And and then we went to 3 Louisville breweries, which
Yeah.
I'm always, happy to host people at some Louisville breweries because they're,
Yeah.
listen, Louisville, they've got per capita, they've got a fair amount of breweries, but they are so concentrated that once you get to one, most of them you can practically just walk to all of them.
We didn't we walk to one from the other?
We
One was
did,
so close,
and that
even
one
in
was
that-
like literally 3 blocks, but it was so cold, even 3 blocks, people were complaining.
It was.
But we
Like,
also
come on.
took an Uber from the first one to the second one, and that thing was like less than a mile. It was like just over a half
Yeah.
mile, but I was
You
like,
can't
I'm
walk
not
that.
walking that.
Oh, it was pretty rough. The cold weather. But those were great brewery visits. Have you guys kept up with the number of breweries? You guys keep stats or anything or a list of like how many breweries you guys have been to?
No, haven't done that.
I could start trying to, keep track of that, but
and to because we're fairly new to Untappd too. Like
yeah.
we knew it was there, but then it was like, oh my god, it's effort. But then finally we realized, this does allow us a
It helps me.
tracking purpose.
Right. Because all the time I'll come, if it's been a while, I'll come back. I was like, I know I've had that, but I can't remember if I liked it.
Yeah.
So that's the real advantage to Untappd, which you guys,
Yeah.
since our Cincinnati trip, I've kept really good form on keeping up on.
And that's the thing, just consistency. If you get away from it, it's hard to come back. But if you just do it regularly, but it is effort. It's
And
it's a
once
pain
you
in the
work
ass.
through the quirks of it, because, it's not super intuitive for everything, but once you work through the process of it, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, the hardest part, not the hardest part, the worst part is like when you go get a beer, like maybe it's brand new that day and it's not in on tap
Yes.
yet.
Which
And
happens. You talked about
Yeah.
it, rye.
And you can add it, and I'm like, and you can, and I'm like, well, sometimes I get lazy. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to skip that beer altogether. I don't want to. I'll get another one. 'Cause I don't wanna-
There have been some beers where it's like, you know what, I don't want to necessarily go trash this beer, so
Well, no, it's funny when you were talking about the Untappd app. Yeah, you really have to find what works for you, especially the rating system. I mean, yeah, you don't want to trash breweries, but you also have to figure out what is your rating system on there and what aren't you going to go back to. So when you're rating a certain beer, you're going, all right, is this a rating that I'm rating it that if I look on my Untappd app, am I gonna have it again or not? And I know I have that honed down to, if I look at something, it's like, no, I'm not going back to that beer. A lot of times there's beers I don't even rate,
This guy
but yeah.
Hey,
is super generous.
look,
on Untappd. He's like, I didn't like that at all. And I looked it up. I was like, you gave it like a 3.
guy, if I was a teacher, nobody would fail.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm giving beers like 2,
Nobody
2.5. Listen, it takes a lot for a beer to reach a 4. You know,
I've never
for me.
given a 4.
I think a 4. I've given like a 4.25 or a 4.5 is the top I've ever ranked a beer.
I thought I only went to 4.
That's upper echelon.
Goes to 5.
Yeah, 4 for me is upper echelon. That's
Yeah.
a whole nother level.
So
Yeah.
listen, if it's above a 3, that's great. Like 3.5, that to me is a great beer. A 3.5, I'm like, awesome. But you got to like really hit it to hit a 4.
Yeah. And like Steve said, it's however you determine it in your head, what your scale is within. If you think 3.5 is up,
Since I have started rating beers on Untappd, I've only rated one beer a 5.
Ooh,
I have some 4.50s. I have 4.75, but I've only rated one beer a 5.
What was it?
That was the Great Lakes.
oh, you just sucking up to get him in Tennessee.
No, with the
hey,
that was the
Steve.
Vivacious IPA.
Yeah, Steve, say it loud. What was the beer that you gave a 5 to? The only
What
beer
was the
you gave a
one that
5?
I gave a 5 to?
Huh? Who's the
Hold on a
brewery?
minute. We're gonna look it up and make sure for accuracy purposes. You know which one it is, though.
Well, I know, but we're gonna use this as a selling
Do we
point.
have a drum roll?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, look, these guys brought their own intro music. Sure, they got a drum roll in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's the Great Lakes Juicy Vivacious IPA.
Juicy
Uh,
Vivation.
You see my bet. Well, first off, great name.
Yeah,
It
Yeah.
better be good.
there you go. Yeah,
Great,
it was
great
really,
beer.
really, really, really good. So,
Well, I guess we'll have to go to the store and get that one.
yeah. Hey, go.
What's that like?
What's that like?
So you guys have your own stickers. Obviously, we've seen them around, and they're really cool. Are you guys, when you go to breweries, are you advocates for getting stickers from those places too? Like, is that a point for you guys to make sure you get one everywhere you go?
I still don't know what to do with them. Here's
Yeah.
what I got from my Brink sitting right here on the counter. Here's here's Melatonin. I didn't even know they had a sticker. Here's some idiot called a Yeast Infection Brewworks. Oh, that's crazy.
Steve,
Trust
Yeah.
me though,
down.
Fucking-
it sounds worse than it
morons.
is.
Yeah. It sounds worse than it. Yeah. I met those guys. They suck. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
they-
give them any-
What are they thinking?
Look, you never know. One day, how many breweries and brewers started that way? So you never know. I mean, you may.
Yeah.
I have a huge stack of brewery stickers, and I have a fridge downstairs, but I don't have a bar downstairs. I'm gonna work on building a bar and moving the fridge from the storage room to the finished room. And when I do that, I'm gonna start just plastering the fridge with them. Now, yes, what happens when your fridge dies? Well, it's an excuse to go collect all those stickers again.
Well,
Hey, look behind me.
Yeah.
All my stickers. I have a sticker board.
There you go.
Ah,
Yeah.
It's like Boy Scout badges.
Yeah.
it's well
That's a
done.
great idea. And I've got the issue where I plaster them directly on the fridge, and I'm just that fridge is gonna live forever, or it's gonna go with me. I also heard this other thing people do is they'll buy magnets and put the sticker on the magnet and put them on the fridge, so that if something does happen, you can pull them off. So maybe a little bit of work cutting and that kind of thing, but you can always take them with you.
Well, here's the
that
good news. I work at a company that actually has rolls of magnet. So I can just go down there and like snip off a huge thing and then so I might do that. It ain't as pretty because it's only going to stick, right where the magnet's stuck, but it is more efficient. Hey, Spence Lamont, I just noticed that. First off, amazing. Yes. Well, I mean, only looking for an excuse, right? And at breweries, I love too. I get extra ones. And when I go out of town, I have to travel for work. So the first thing when I get to any new city or any city I've been to before is where's breweries I can go to? Because yes, I'm going by myself, but I've yet to not make a friend at a brewery. When you sit at the bar, you're going to either make friends with the beer tender or you're going to make friends with 3 people sitting up there too. It happens all the time. I go to a place in Chicago called Crushed by Giants. It's in downtown, just 1 block off of Michigan Avenue, on the 2nd floor. And, it's okay, but their logo and artwork's amazing. And I always make a friend there. I have to go to Vegas a lot because I'm in the trade show industry. And if you go to the arts district, there's 6 now. I think, hopefully, I'm going to be going back next month. I think a 7th was in the process of opening. 7 breweries within a half-mile radius.
Yeah.
So you get 1 Uber and you could have access to 7 breweries which is very dangerous. He loves it when I text him because the first brewery I'm like, this has notes of honey and it's blah, blah, blah. I get to the last brewery and it's like, this is ass. These people should be closed. This is the worst shit I've ever drank.
It's true.
And it stinks in here.
Although it's funny, the second on the...
What's that smell? The bathroom? No, it's the beer.
It's a beer.
Last time
Good
I
God.
said to him, there was only 5 breweries. Since then, one more had opened, which is the best tap room out there. And then now another one may have opened. But when there was 5, I hit all 5 in one day by myself. And
Yeah.
Nice.
a person I met at the second brewery had a dog who was sitting with him at the bar. And by the time I got to the 5th brewery, I was walking in and I turn over and I see the dog and I'm like, I know you, not the guy. I pointed to the dog and said, I know you. So he appreciated that. By the way, that last brewery was the only place I've been that's been on bar rescue. He must have fixed the pizza there. John Taffer must have fixed the pizza, but he did not do much for the beer.
Oh boy. Yeah, he probably didn't. Yeah, I don't think it's got much to do with that part. Just clean lines, right? Make sure your glasses are clean, and what you put in them is your problem.
All right. Our last of the 6-pack we bought for today, Brad will be enjoying a local beer. Goodwood is the brewery. This is the Bob. It's a blood orange blonde ale. We've had this multiple times pre-gaming for Louisville Cardinal basketball games. And I'm going to have the Mile Wide Lynchpin Hazy IPA. Mile Wide.
Nice.
We took Scott there. That's the second brewery we went to after Tailspin. When
Loved
we were up
it.
there. They're big on IPAs and they do a lot of hazies and stuff. And so for us, we know when we go in there, we're going to get IPAs, but they're all pretty great.
Yeah, and their menu's pretty big too. So if you don't want that, then you will have options.
That's true. And plus, they make a lot of Arrested Development references in their beer names and their can art. And I'm a huge Arrested
Do they?
Development fan. Oh, they do. They literally.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
If you watch Arrested Development, they literally on one of their cans they have it's called Mrs. Featherbottom, and it's got David Cross dressed up as Mrs. Featherbottom with his umbrella jumping off the staircase.
That's a great show. Yeah, I love that brewery, and I had some Mild Wide before, because when I was going to Bowling Green, I would get it at it's not Party Source, but Liquor World or Liquor Barn in Bowling Green, and they would always have a bunch of Mild Wide. But to go there was really cool. I actually really like that place.
By the way, I too am opening up a new beer.
Here we go.
This is New Holland, the Poet. It is an American oatmeal stout.
Oh, nice.
Oh, he's got a stout.
Wow.
It's very hot out, and he's drinking a stout, but he is indoors.
Well,
where-
I got the air conditioning on in my house, so
Yeah.
you know.
You know what? To drink a stout, you might want to turn it up a little more.
Yes, I know. Well, you know what? This has been sitting in my refrigerator for a little bit, and I'm like, it's time to drink it. Even though I know it's 95 degrees out, may not necessarily make sense, but I'm inside.
Where is New Holland?
They are in Grand Rapids, Michigan. No, they're in Holland, Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yep,
right.
Holland,
is
Michigan.
that one you brought back from your trip last year?
It is not, Scott. I think this is one that I got from a beer trade.
Very
But
cool.
last year when I was in Holland, Michigan, I had some New Holland beer, and it is very, very good. If you guys have not been up that way,
Have not.
you should go up that way. There's a lot of great breweries up there.
That's what I hear. I would like. I think because we have always been a Florida water vacation family, but now that the kids are gone and out of the way, I'd like to go up there along the lake and into Michigan and spend a few days there. But we'll see.
Yeah. Our next bucket list brewery, it's like on par with like Great Lakes, is Founders.
Yeah.
Like, that's,
Yeah.
That's one of those, all right, must get to places. So, in
Yeah.
that
Do they
general
sell
area.
that in Tennessee?
They do.
They do. You can find plenty of Founders in Tennessee.
Good.
And a lot of KBS, like all the variants. I don't know if it's all, but a
Yeah.
shit ton of variants, which I love. Yeah, they're awesome. I just opened up and I got this today. Flensburger Pilsner, some kind of import.
It looks like one you would have brought back
Brewed in
from
a
Germany
bottle.
with you.
I know. When I go to the German section, like in the liquor store anymore, I'll do the Untappd, and I've had 98% of everything they've got in there. So to find one I hadn't had is pretty remarkable.
Oh wow.
What do you think about
Listen,
Oktoberfest season?
Guy who's been to Germany should know Oktoberfest is actually in September, correct? So I mean,
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Yeah.
which makes
So we're about 5 weeks away from September, believe it or not. No, about 8 weeks.
Come
away
on,
from
man.
September.
Yeah, 8 weeks.
I forgot about July.
buddy.
I was right. I was going right into August.
Like actually, yeah, we're about 8.5 weeks.
Yeah. Well, look, our schedule is booked through July, so I've already skipped over July.
By
I'm
the
thinking about
time this
August.
airs, or if it airs, because I might honestly, I'm thinking bury this in the backyard.
You're gonna send us a cease and desist.
We have so much to contribute.
This is all we do.
We're such amateurs.
When Oktoberfest season rolls around, what's the go-to for the Hilltappers when it comes to Oktoberfest? You got
Well,
some favorites?
Yes. Look, and first off, I'll say this: no matter where you are, I'm gonna stand by this. All right, I'm standing by this. No matter where you live, if you want to get a good Oktoberfest beer, no matter what you think of the beer company, Sam Adams Oktoberfest is delicious.
Buddy, you and I are lockstep on it, man.
I agree.
He was hoping you'd say
I
that.
stand in line. I am one of the first people to stand in line at the grocery store
Yep.
each year to get a 6-pack when they come out on the first day that is out. Last year, here I was at Publix the very first day that they had Oktoberfest, and that was like August 28th or something. And I'm like, I don't
It's
care.
August.
I don't care how early it is.
I know
I'm going there, and I'm going
I
to
know it's available pretty much anywhere, but let me tell you, as just a mass-produced Oktoberfest beer, you can't go wrong with it. It's pretty good.
It's the OG.
It is.
It is solid. We got a buddy, Calvin, he'll buy a case of it at the end of the season or a couple of cases, so it gets him through like the spring and the summer until it comes back out again.
Nice. Well played.
Locally here in Louisville, we have, obviously, because this is how we started, so we have a ranking. We may disagree on number one. We kind of go back and forth on number one. I tend to think that the number one local Oktoberfest beer is by a place called Monarch Brewing. Monarch makes great beers, but their Oktoberfest is called Kaiser von Schnitzelberg. Great name. And I think that is probably one of the best. And they can it, so you can buy it locally in cans too. And we also think that the Gallant Fox, which is a place we were hoping that we could take you guys soon. Gallant Fox has one called Foxtoberfest.
That's number one. That's number one.
That's his favorite.
That's number one.
So those are great. Up in the Cincinnati area, I think Braxton's October Fuel is delicious. Really good. Fall City. You familiar with Fall City beer? Back when we were growing up, Fall City meant cheap, terrible beer. But then what happened was they became a brewery when the fad came along, and now Fall City makes some really great beers. They have one called Ottofest. OTTO Fest. And that was definitely a top beer for us. And then both Against the Grain and Goodwood, both Louisville breweries have amazing Oktoberfest, and Donkashane by West 6 out of Lexington. It's a little bit mild for an Oktoberfest, but super drinkable. So if you want like a lighter, more drinkable Oktoberfest, excellent.
Well, last year I found an Oktoberfest that I did not think was possible that I liked a little bit better than Sam Adams. Founders had a barrel-aged Oktoberfest that was about 10%, and it was off the charts. And I found it really through happenstance. Scott and I were going to do a Oktoberfest episode where we were going to go out and find different variations of Oktoberfest beer.
Yep.
And I'm at the beer and wine store down the street from my house, and I look over and I'm like, Founders, Oktoberfest, and all of a sudden I look and I'm like, barrel aged. and when we had Founders on, we talked to them about it, and I think they came out with it in like 2021. And Scott, didn't they say they were going to do like a new variation this year? I don't think they're going to come out with that particular one. But man, if you guys see it, I know you were talking earlier about barrel age being sort of hit and miss. That thing, oh my God, man, that was one of my favorite beers of the year. It really was.
All hit.
Wow.
Yeah. It only like that beer for you, Steve, was only surpassed by that Vivacious Juicy, right? If I remember.
Yeah.
Or at least for a time.
Yeah, it was like my second favorite beer of the year.
Uh-huh.
It was that good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be on the look of it coming August, September.
Yeah.
I know. It's so weird. You know what I hate about Oktoberfest coming out early, and I like Sam's Oktoberfest. I really like their summer ale too. Those are the two I like from them. The summer ale's really crushable. It's got that lemon zest to it. I love that. And the Oktoberfest follows. I'm just like, can we just get them a little later in the season?
Yeah, because listen, it may come out in August, but it's still 100 degrees in August.
I know.
I'm not ready to shift to the fall until October itself.
It. Yeah, I'll buy it, but then I'm not going to drink it for a few weeks, at least.
Yeah,
It's
there's
got to be in
that.
September.
Yeah, you got to save some because basically it's kind of like Christmas, the Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all of a sudden, boom, it's over. You get October maybe 20th, and you're not seeing hardly any Oktoberfest left out there. You may still see it in some restaurants, but you're definitely not going to see
Right.
hardly any of it in stores anymore.
Do you guys transition? And they run parallel a little bit, but there's a crossover between Oktoberfest beers and the pumpkins. The pumpkins come out a little bit later, as they should. They should come out much later too.
They
You
do. They're
guys
definitely more October. We
Yeah.
don't drink a lot of pumpkins, but I think we'll all agree. And if anyone listening doesn't know, Party Source in Northern Kentucky, right across the river from Cincinnati in Newport,
Newport.
Kentucky,
Yep.
is the greatest liquor store on the planet that I've ever been to. Anyway, but they have a build your own 6-pack aisle that is unparalleled that I've ever seen. And I went in there around September, and like half of that aisle was just Oktoberfest beers. And I was so excited, I ended up building a 12-pack because I just wanted to try everyone's beer. And we're huge fans of Wooden Cask, and I've never seen them have an Oktoberfest beer. But I don't usually go for the pumpkin ales too much. It's just a little too much spice for me versus an Oktoberfest beer. But they had one, and since we love Wooden Cask, because what's going to happen, I bring all those back, and then he comes over, and then we just get I have like a flight, and we just kind of pour half glass, and we split beers to try them. And we ended up trying their pumpkin beer, and it ranked high for us. It was really good. So I'm a little bit more open to it. Now, since then, my daughter, because she knows I love Wooden Cask and knows I love Oktoberfest, she found a Wooden Cask Oktoberfest beer. She bought me a 6-pack and brought it to me. And I'll say this, Wooden Cask Oktoberfest ranks high. Once again, they do not let us down. If anyone goes to the Cincinnati area, please give Wooden Cask a try.
Mm-hmm.
I think in fact, I was in about 2 years ago. They also have the tap room on Newport on the Levee in addition to their other location. And I was in there and I was talking to the guy and I said, I think you guys are one of the least talked about great breweries in this area. And he looked at me and he said, our owner knows that. He said, he just stands on what we do. He said he doesn't worry about it. He feels like the brand is good enough where people are going to come in and they're going to get the beer and we're going to continue on. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, they don't get talked about that much up there. I don't.
But what happened? We didn't go there. We made a choice. Look, because they're not far from Darkness, and we all love Darkness. We've we kind of taken them on, so we go there as much as we can. We go to Braxton and Darkness, but right between Braxton and Darkness is Wooden Cask. So next year, if we're going back up there, we need to not miss Wooden Cask.
Yeah.
Well, we went to the new West 6 location because we wanted to knock that off our list because we hadn't been there.
Sure.
But yeah, Wooden Cask was on that whole thing, and next year we will. And I want to also say one other thing about Darkness. I'm starting to be convinced after being there twice that Darkness is going to become on that Listerman level for me of I don't know where else in this area, pound for pound, that I'm going to find the most consistent good beer. And I feel like Darkness is going to be on that level for me. About 1 or 2 more times I go there, I'm going to be like, yep. Yeah.
Look, I love when I go to a place to find the big breweries. Awesome. But find the little hole in the wall. And I can still look, they haven't really expanded that much. So I still consider them a bit of a hole in the wall. They're small, but man, they produce great stuff, and they have improved the facility since I started going there. But yeah, they're just on point.
Yeah, that was my first time. And that will be one of those ones that's going to be on the list every time we go, if we can.
Their size is like charming. It's got some charm to it being a little place.
Yeah, and we center everything, not everything, but when we go there, there's always a ball game or two involved. So they're near the ballpark, which is convenient as well. So we do that and do the ballpark, which is what we did this past trip too. So can't wait to get back. Steve's been a couple times now.
And by the way, I thought I was going back to look on my Untappd app on the Sully scale or the Spence Lamont scale, whichever one I am. I've had their pumpkin ale.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've had their pumpkin ale. I've rated it about 2 years ago, and it looks like I liked it. So I've had their pumpkin ale, but doesn't look like I have not had their Oktoberfest. But you were drinking the Newporter earlier, right?
Yeah, he's got it right now.
Yep, I had that about 3 years ago and liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, the
good
listen.
stuff.
First off, wooden cask, a beautiful can art. It looks prestige.
Yeah.
It's really nice. And when I saw their Oktoberfest one, it had the white and blue checks and still had their emblem on there. I mean, it's a beautiful stuff. So, but yes, so you enjoyed the wooden cask Oktoberfest, yes?
Yes. No, I haven't had it. I have not had.
Oh,
I have not had their
you had the
Oktoberfest.
pumpkin though, yeah,
I've had the pumpkin ale. Yeah.
which was
And I'm hit and miss on pumpkin ales. When we were talking about it earlier, last year when I stood in line to get the Sam Adams, their pumpkin beer was sitting there next to it. I did not get it because I've had it before, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. I probably would get it again. I'll tell you who does a really good pumpkin beer that now, and they serve it throughout the year. Scott knows which one I'm talking about here in Nashville. Blackstone does
Really?
the best pumpkin beer it's a pumpkin ale. They do the best one that I think I've probably one of the best ones I've ever had.
interesting.
I'll tell you when it comes out, we'll send you a couple, and it's just simple. It's not anything crazy, or it's got a little spice to it. And dude, it's again, not again, but I've given a few 5s on Untappd. That's a 5. I've given that beer a
Really?
5.
Wow.
Yeah, yes, and I love
That's
it
a bit
that
of a
much.
spicy kick, but it's not that pumpkin spicy kick that you get that you go, this is way, way, way on over here where it's really annoying and you don't want to drink any of it or more of it. It's just right, in my opinion, where you really enjoy it and it's just a good brew.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
don't want to be
perfect.
drinking a carrot cake. Hang on.
No,
I would drink a carrot cake. I take that back. I love carrot cake. I would drink that.
I would drink a carrot cake, sure.
So my question for the Hilltappers is simply this: because we were at Fayette La Force and I was leaving, and you said you have an open invitation to come join us the next time you're coming up through town.
Yes, sir.
Which there's going to be a time between now and the end of the year that I plan to come to your city
Bro,
and hang out for a day or two.
listen, I can't say that you're gonna love the breweries here. They're not as grand as they might be in
They don't have to be.
Tennessee, but you know what? There's some people doing some good work here. And if you don't mind sleeping on a couch, I got couches. You are welcome to come stay here for free, and we will take you around and show you the sights. We'd love to get your opinion on some local breweries.
Yeah, the question is, where are we going to go? Like, if it's me or anybody else that's coming there, what are like 5 brewery recommendations that you have, sir?
This is insane that you said that, because I literally made this list called the top 5 breweries in Louisville. Right?
Here we go.
And I made an initial list and I sent it to Brad. And Brad said, well, what about this? I was like, you're right. And so I changed it because he was correct. So right now, and this is a mix between, listen, there's vibes and there's beer. Sometimes vibes like Rheingeist, you get amazing vibes. So if the beers are just okay, it still might be number 1 because the vibes and the okay beers equal greatness. And then sometimes the vibes may be okay, but the beers are so good, boom, they hit the ranking. So number 5 for us would be Mile Wide, which Scott joined us at when he was up here for Tailspin. They're kind of the basement of this old industrial plant that's a bar upstairs, and it used to be a Jillian's, which was sort of like a Dave & Buster's back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah, you had Jillian's, yeah.
we had a Jillian's.
Downstairs was like a performance area, like a stage, and live bands would play. And what happened was Jillian's left, and now since then it's become like a pool hall upstairs, but the entire downstairs that you enter from the back, it's Mile Wide, and it's a beautiful place. They don't have a good outdoor space, but they make
it's like
beers.
the bottom level of a silo. Like
Yes, but they got good food. They do some great pizzas and a lot of IPAs, but it's really good.
It's a Mile Wide.
Number 4 on the list would be Monarch. And honestly, Monarch could move up higher. Monarch does great beers. They're definitely, when you walk in, it's definitely more of a restaurant vibe. You have to be seated unless you just sit at the bar. But they got still the chalkboard of beers they're doing. They rotate regularly. They brew hard. And they got, whether it's good or bad, fully committed, flavorful beers. Okay? So highly recommend. And their food is amazing, but it's like high end. It's kind of expensive gastropub German beer, German food. Excuse me, but it's really good. Number 3 is Gravely. Gravely Brewing. honestly, we love. It's a cool place.
Yep.
And also, Scott went there. And that was the last place we went. The bar, the entire back bar is made of old stereo components.
Yeah, it's
like
cool.
from the 70s and 80s, speakers and stereo faces and everything up. And everything they do is music themed. They rotate a lot. They've got great beers, cool space. They're going to move, which everyone's really upset about. They're keeping that location for brewing only, but they're like, no, this is a great space. So we'll see. But their beers, great. Number 2, Gallant Fox. Gallant Fox is the first brewery we went to together. They've opened a second location out in Bullitt County, which is about 10, 12 miles down the road. But their first location, they're currently expanding, so it's going to have a full kitchen. It doesn't now, but their beers are on point. It's a cool space. Their beers are amazing, and they rotate regularly. And even if it's returning beers, you know they're good. So hats off to Gallant Fox. Always going to be close.
Gallant Fox was the first Triple Crown winner of the Derby, Preakness, and Belmont.
Literally, the
Nice.
Gallant Fox. That's what the name comes from. Yeah.
Well, no shit.
They play off of that theme quite a bit.
But then number 1, and look, I know you guys stopped in, and it may not have been, it may have been just okay for you guys, but we just love hanging at a rye. And part of that,
One?
a rye. That's where you guys stopped and hit.
Oh yeah, I like the ride.
Look, the guy there, he used to work at Against the Grain, and anyone out there you can buy Against the Grain in cans in a lot of states around the area. Against the Grain is decent, but they kind of got locked in on their beers. And this guy used to be like the main brewery there, and he got tired of being locked in. He wanted to cook. So he and another guy left, and they found another financier, and the 3 of them became owners in a place called Awry. And this guy, his name's Tyler Martin. He goes by T-Mart. He cooks. And when he makes an amazing beer and it runs out, I'll say, hey, T-Mart, when are you going to bring back this beer? He says, I don't know. I may never bring it back. I was like, oh, but it's so good. He's like, I'm just going to make something better. And that's his mindset. He's like, I'm always going to, and every time he puts something new on the board, if it's not on the board yet and we're there definitely every Friday after work. That's where we go. He'll come out, we'll be sitting there enjoying a beer, and he'll come over with like 3 small glasses. And he's like, this isn't on the board yet, but try this. And we'll try it, and son of a bitch, it's always good. I mean, it may not be a 5-star beer you've ever had, but like he just did a Mexican lager, and I'm like, I'm really picky about my Mexican lagers, and it was so different from anybody else's.
That's true.
So
It's a great time of year for him, though.
yeah, and everybody that works at I think 3 out of the 4 people that work the bar are owners.
Nice.
They're invested. Okay.
Yeah.
They are proud of their product, and they will tell you about the product or try this, try that. They're really invested in it.
Yeah.
So, it's a good mix of vibes, and I just love their effort, and their beers are super tasty. So right now, Rye is our number 1 place to go for beers.
And you took us all there after Tailspin as well.
Yeah.
And was it the head brewer or the guy that was at Tailspin you introduced us to, and then he came and showed up at Awry later on? Was
That's
he
true.
the head brewer?
Two of the 3 owners were at Tailspin. It was one of their birthdays. So
That's right.
He was like, I'm just getting really drunk. He got a tattoo on site. They were doing drunken tattoos on site, and he just got one. And then they showed up, and then like the older guy who's like more the financier, he was working the bar that night. Poor guy. While those 2 drunk asses showed up doing that. So but yes, he was one of the guys that you met that day.
It was great. I'll always remember because it was the night I touched Nick's hair. If you remember that, there's a picture of me touching Nick's hair, and my face is like, "This is awesome."
The fact that you got his hat off was.
And then when we went back, when Steve and I stopped through, a few weeks ago or whatever, back in May, and we sat at that same table, and I was like, "Oh, it's not the same."
Long table there, yeah. That's a.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, there's a spot."
Main spot. Like I said, I leave work early on Fridays. It's like, what time do they open? That's when I'm leaving work. Because I work 2 minutes from there. He works 5 minutes from there.
Oh yeah.
And
great spot.
And our home brewery, listen, they've been going through some issues and they're working it out. So I won't mention them. They're out here closer to where we live, but where we work, that's where we go on Fridays now. It's just
okay. Hey, when we were at Awry, when we met you guys recently, somebody had hit the outdoor staircase or something. Is that back in service now? Or
No,
Oh shit.
no, and I'll tell you why. Because they caught the guy who drunkenly 3 a.m. hit a guy in an intersection, jumped the curve, barely missed 2 trees, and their outdoor section is their roof. You take steps up, and it's literally a rooftop space, and they just nailed the stairs directly.
Wow.
And knocked him back like 3 feet, so took it off. So structurally, it's unsound. And of
yeah,
course,
no.
they ended up catching the guy, but they had no insurance. So now it's like, yes, we have to. Our insurance is going to cover it, but we have to pay like 20%, and it's a lot of damage. So they're working on fixing it still. But I was like, but during the summer, he said, "Are you kidding me? Nobody goes and sits on the roof when it's 100 degrees."
Yeah,
out."
that's true.
It's like if we get it fixed
I
by
know.
September, we'll be good, because that's when people want to sit on.
Fair. That's 100% fair. Yeah, you don't want to be up there now. Hell no. You don't want to be on a patio now, let alone a rooftop.
And a shout out to Aride. They're going to celebrate their second anniversary on July 12th, and we will be there.
All right.
Boys,
All right.
cheers to a rye.
Cheers to a ride.
Aride. Drinking out of their glass
2
right
years.
now.
2 years. You guys have told a lot of funny stories along the way, but have you got anything, any funny stories in any of your beer travels or brewery travels that you would like to share? It can be 1, it can be 100. I mean, I know of a couple that we were at, but you may have some others.
What do you got?
Well, I mean, I remember us walking up the stairs to Rheingeist in our most recent visit. But
No, I don't remember. Let's not talk about that.
okay.
You mean the guy
Maybe-
who was making fun of everybody for not getting a flight, and then he couldn't make it up the flight of stairs with his flight?
First of all, when I ordered a flight, I was chastising everyone because you should all order a flight. Okay. But then I didn't know that we were going to go upstairs. So I did not intend to carry the flight up the flight of stairs.
Can I just tell you
It's a lot of
even
stairs.
funnier story about this?
Yes.
I years ago, because I decided I'm not even going to try to go up them stairs on a flight, because I will do what you did. And I followed everybody up there that day. I did not even know you were talking crap until Liz on our podcast
Oh, he was.
started mentioning it, and I'm like, did he really? I didn't even hear that.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that happened. I didn't even hear you. All I heard was the crash. I didn't hear you were saying other things about you guys aren't blah, 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 blah.
First off, I was returning crap.
Okay.
I wasn't just talking crap. People were chastising me
Now
for
he's
taking
making
it
stuff
up.
up.
And
I
I
remember
was,
it that way, but
I was trying to give back as good as I was taking it. And
okay.
I was so close. I was approximately 6 steps from the top.
You were almost there.
And then boom, one shoe caught a step, and then
Yeah. I just remember hearing a crash and thinking to myself, yep, that's why I don't do that anymore.
Tom, you never went down. A glass was never broken. We just had some liquid going down the stairs.
That's it.
well, yeah, it was like a $12 loss to me. But you're right. I no glasses broke, and myself did not face plant, so I'll take that as a win.
Nope. You tried to save it. I was literally the guy behind you, and I saw it, and you were trying to save them, and you did everything you could, and it just.
I swear,
You could have been
I thought
you could
one
have
of them
been
would hold.
you could have been charged with alcohol abuse that night.
That's true.
Nobody was going to turn you in.
That's true. So then I just go to the rooftop bar, and I'm like, I'll just take a pint of that.
Look, I just asked about it. You brought it up. You told the story. That was
I
good.
didn't bring it up.
Well, yeah, all right. I planted the seed, and then anyway, that's a
Do we
great
have
story.
any funny stories?
Yeah.
Here's
Come
the
on,
thing.
Shirley.
The funniest stuff we barely remember.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Dude,
Remember the time
Usually
Steve
what
got
happens.
lost? Remember the time Steve got lost from Great American Ballpark to March 1st?
that was that. Listen, when we joined you guys in Cincinnati, it was after the Reds game at March 1st, and you all told the story. But I still can't get over the fact that he took an Uber for less than a half mile, and he's from there.
You could almost see
happened.
the building from where he was standing, right?
No excuse.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey,
Seems like we've already.
Hey, I'm owning it. I have no excuse that night except that, like I said on the Cincinnati Takeover podcast, sometimes, every once in a while in life, you lack common sense. And I lacked common sense that night, and I just finally said, you know what? I don't give a crap at this point. Just get me to where I need to go, and that's what I'm doing, and I don't care.
well, look, if your friend wouldn't have taken off, like this would have never happened.
He knows the city better than me, and I'm like, I'll just meet him there.
That's me. When we went, I was like, dude, it's Fountain Square. I mean, I'm not from Cincinnati, but I can find Fountain Square from the.
I know.
I was waiting. I got no response. I was like, well, he's probably there already. I'll just go ahead and go on. He's probably waiting for me.
But in my defense, any other time that we've needed to find places or do things, or we've been in and out of traffic, I've always been there spot on.
It was no problem. It's just a funny little tale.
So that is my one.
Okay.
I'll give you a partial story. All right. So last summer we went to our first ever beer fest. Okay. And it wasn't Tailspin. It was live in about 10 miles outside of downtown Louisville in a place called Jeffersontown. They call it J-Town. So J-Town has a beer fest, and we hadn't been because the year before we would have been into it, but I was out of town for work. But this year we were there, so we're like, yeah, let's do it. And once again, this is a place where you pay one price. They give you a cup this big, and you just sample. Well, we'd never been to a beer fest. We didn't know how to pace ourselves. And honestly, our home brewery, it was happening in the backyard of our home brewery out here in J-Town. So we, even dumber than usual, we pre-gamed a beer fest, which is the dumbest thing. So anyway,
Let's go.
I posted like a video if you go back on the Hilltappers on Instagram, go back about a year and you can see the progression in the video. But anyway, so it didn't end well. We don't remember our wives picking us up. I especially don't remember. It went poorly. But what happened was we wouldn't go back in our brewery for like over a week because we were afraid of what we did, because we know when it ended, we went into the brewery, but we don't have much memory of it.
There was a point early on in the night after we had gone. It's like we're racing to these tents. Like, what are we doing?
Let's get another. Let's get another.
And he says, we are not doing this right.
Well, I was already drunk when I said that.
And it was, we didn't. And that was the thing.
When we finally went back to the brewery over a week later, we just felt like we couldn't show our faces because I didn't know what happened.
Right.
So I went in there and one of the regular beer tenders was there. And I went up, I was like, listen, I got to apologize. I don't know. I don't remember much. Did I even close my tab? What, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, no, I wouldn't. I mean, I knew you were, pretty drunk, but but you didn't do anything embarrassing, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, thank God.
It was all good after the second time you closed your tab.
That's right. I did try to close it twice, apparently, because I talked to another beer tender and they're like, yeah. But he said, no, he's like, but I'll tell you, there were two, there were two guys that tried to come up the back steps. And one of them was arguing with the security that, I'm a Mug Club member, blah, blah, blah. And the other guy fell in the bushes.
We still don't know who that was.
And I'm sitting there like, okay. And I go back to the table. I was like, it was us.
No, it wasn't.
It was us. No, it was. I don't remember.
It really was?
Arguing with the guy about, I'm a Mug Club member, I should be able to come up the back steps. But when he mentioned falling in the bushes, I looked in my phone. And sure enough, I was drunk, but I was sane enough that when Brad fell in the bushes, I instantly took a picture of him being helped out by somebody. So this guy,
funny.
oh no, you were fine. Not like these drunk assholes who did this at the back door. And to this day, I haven't told him it was us.
It was you.
It was you guys.
You know what's funny about that? Well, as drunk as
He
you
never
are,
goes to look at the video footage because it was us.
It happens.
it does happen. It's fine.
I'm sitting there like, ha, yeah, what are those jackasses doing?
I'm glad we were well behaved.
Hey,
What I
it's
love about
hilarious.
that, like, no matter how drunk you are, like, you have that reaction to go for your phone. Like, oh, that's funny video. Or funny. I can make that work.
I didn't know he'd fallen into the bushes till he mentioned it. I was like, you did? And I started looking at my pictures. I had no recollection of taking that photo, but there it was. I knew I had to take a picture. And it's he looks all disappointed in the bushes. And this guy we've never met's helping him out.
There's you not helping, taking the picture.
Well, yeah.
Once again, Gen X.
It's also, you would have no proof if you hadn't. So there you go. It's good
Exactly.
that
Brad,
you
was there
did.
any evidence the next day when you got up that your clothes looked like they had fallen in the bushes?
Nope.
No, actually, I think he remembered falling in the
I,
bushes.
think I do. It was fast and it happened. And there was a guy right there and he said, hey, buddy, come on back.
Come on back.
You're probably wondering, well, what made you fall in the bushes? Nothing. He just fell.
No,
Just tripped. It happens.
Well,
I've
no,
done
because
that.
I was trying to talk this asshole out of,
Dude, remote club, let us in. I don't want to walk around front.
and
Just
then
let
I
us
back
up.
up and back into bushes.
Club members, come on now.
So that's our worst story, and now it's out there.
I think it's good. If you need us to cut that later, we're not gonna. So it lives.
I wouldn't expect you to.
Hey, before we close this out, and Steve, you may have something else, but Brad, can we get a George W?
Ooh, on the spot?
You can give it a minute. We can edit the pause. You're pretty good at it, though.
Well, I don't think there's any need to edit because, we're going right into talking about some of these transformations and these brewerations at these local beer establishmentations, and it's good stuff.
It's
Hey, George, I fooled you once.
You fool us once, shame on you. Fool us twice, shame on. You're not gonna fool us again.
Love it.
this is
It's
going to
the
be a
face.
short.
Thanks. I
That's going
appreciate it.
to be a YouTube short, man.
I appreciate the time.
He's got it.
Yeah.
You can have any time you want.
For my next act,
We love it. You're so good at it. Anyway, Steve, you got anything else before we wrap up here, buddy?
You know what? I can wrap it up. I'm
Okay.
good.
Anything you guys want to talk about before we get out of here? We didn't touch on, or you want to get out there or promote, or
I don't think necessarily. Listen, we got to get you guys to Louisville.
I'm coming.
it's gonna be like game day.
And any excuse to go to Cincinnati, we're there, and looking forward to coming back to Nashville. Any opportunity to hang out with you guys, because man, we do it well. Boom.
Yep.
we do. We talk about these stories forever and ever and ever.
I mean,
When we come to Louisville and when we come together, I know Steve might be there before I do, but when we come together, can we mix in some whiskey? Because you guys have some good distilleries there in town too.
Are you serious?
listen, we're our whole travel
you don't-
industry, the Bourbon Trail. But as we mentioned, Bob
So
Dylan.
if you guys don't mind,
Bob Dylan's Bourbon has an amazing place called
Yes!
The Last Refuge.
Yes.
That's an old church and gym, and it's the ultimate place to hang out. So yeah, we definitely gonna go make that part of our visit.
put that on the list too. Yeah, I'm a big, huge fan of all that. So yes, please.
Yeah.
Well, I know Steve is too.
Guys, let's raise our beers.
Boom.
Here's to the Hilltappers.
To the Hilltappers, thanks for
Thanks so
joining
much.
us
This is
on
good
our little
stuff.
dumb podcast.
Thank
We
you guys
appreciate it.
for having us
And
on.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this. A year ago, we met, we became friends, and I would say you guys are like brothers from another mother.
Amen.
Here to here.
Absolutely.
Cheers!
Cheers to
From the
you
Brewing
guys.
Untappd Pod.
All right. And get to Tennessee.
Get to Tennessee and to Louisville.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.